Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Ani King. I am the COO at allcounselors.com, and I'm here today with Dr. Thom Balmer, who is going to talk to us about how to ethically get reviews for your private practice or counseling services. Thom, would you mind introducing yourself a bit and telling us a little bit about why you're qualified to tell us more about ethics and reviews in general?
Sure, Ani, and thanks for having me on today. So I entered the field of counseling in 1982 and have been a college professor since 2005. I'm a licensed professional counselor, licensed marital and family therapist. I finally did a Ph.D. so I could teach more and really enjoy doing that. I've provided over 30,000 sessions of counseling and have probably supervised 1,200 candidates toward licensure. I'm now in Oklahoma and was the first chair of the Oklahoma Board of Behavioral Health Licensure, which is a super board that oversees 3 different licenses. And now I continue to teach full time and I'm sort of easing into retirement.
That's fantastic. So you know a lot about the ethics of counseling in general, both from practicing and also as a teacher and as somebody who's supervised folks towards getting their licensure as well. Is that accurate?
I think so. I mean, that's, when you serve on a state licensing board, and my minor was in ethics in my graduate program, which I've always had interest in. Um, but yeah, where you have to sit on an administrative board and decide who keeps your license and who doesn't, and make sure you've got just cause to do that. I think that's a pretty important process. And it's helped me to understand counseling from a different perspective, not just as a clinician, but as an administrator who wants to protect the public.
That's a fantastic point as well. And that kind of leads me into our topic today. We recently gave a webinar to a number of fine counselors and therapists who were looking at ways to expand their reach and get more clients. And so one of the things we were talking about is a service called Google My Business. And those services, which we sometimes refer to as local SEO, they tend to heavily rely on things like reviews. How many stars do you have in your rating to help rank those businesses? So if you happen to be in Oklahoma and you're looking for a therapist or a plumber or anyone, the first people who are going to come up are the folks who are better reviewed. And that's a little bit of Google's answer to, in some ways, protecting the public against choosing services that might not be well rated and might be poorly rated. However, one of the things that was quickly brought up and led to a little bit of dilemma around getting reviews as a licensed therapist or marriage and family counselor or anything like that, is that you really can't solicit reviews from your clients. It's not ethical, it's not legal, and even if it were considered either of those things, it's still a little bit dicey. So I thought before we start talking about that portion, I'd like to ask, can you tell us a little bit about why it's considered unethical for someone in the medical profession to approach a client and ask them to review their services?
Sure. So probably the main reason for clinicians is we don't leave any physical evidence behind when we perform a procedure, which would be treatment. If you go to a surgeon and they can X-ray you, or give you an MRI and look at the scar and see how that person did. Well, we leave no physical evidence, and because of that, we've got a higher concern for control and choice and how we impact people's lives. The other part of it is we're wordsmiths. I mean, we are language-based treatment providers, and because of that, the language we use and the language people that they use with us is important. We deal with very intimate parts of people's lives, and some of those intimate parts are ugly and can be harmful when talked about or treated. So the big thing is that many states now are passing rules that say once a person is a client, there's really no deadline to that. In Oklahoma, we used to say at 3 years or 5 years, you're no longer a client. Now the board in Oklahoma said, once you're a client for life, just because of that differential between power and our ability to persuade and to instruct people with language.
Thanks, Thom. I think that's really helpful. And I'm sure that a lot of the folks who are in our audience know why it's unethical, but I appreciate you walking through some of the details there. because there also comes to some of the things that might slide under the radar, but still really aren't good in practice. So things like leaving just a feel free to leave a review button on your practice website, still going to get into some gray area there. And, you know, consider that when hospitals or other larger health organizations do reviews or surveys, usually they have a specific department or they have a third party who is validating those results. Because like Thom mentioned, the power differential is really in play there. So one of the things that we had talked about in the webinar was, how do you make sure that your practice can be reviewed ethically? And we had a couple of suggestions, but I'd like to get your take on them. The first one being approaching colleagues or therapists or places that you refer to or who refer to you to see if they'd be willing to review your services. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a great idea. Many of us who have been in the field a while understand that it's not the yellow pages or, you know, the web-based sites that get us our clients and customers. It's our clients and customers in our referral system. And so because of that, people that have been in the field 15 or 20 years, you know, they just have their name in the white pages usually and nothing else. That's really all you need. But hopefully you've got a network set up with colleagues and maybe other medical professionals who will refer to you, and they can say, this is why I refer to this provider. Just asking clients to do that is problematic. You know, we deal with people that have mental issues. Some are diagnosable, some are just adjustment problems, but you know, it can be so problematic to try to ask that person, you know, well, did I do a good job? Well, yeah, you did. Well, you know, are they going to tell us the truth or not? Research says they're not. They're going to sit there and lie to us because they don't want to hurt our feelings, and they feel indemnified to us. And that's that choice theory that we really have to pay attention to with clients, is that they don't have much of a choice once we've built a relationship with them where we're the powerful one and they're less powerful. And then we ask them a question, they're going to answer it so that it pleases us.
That makes a lot of sense. I would imagine too that even if clients are reviewing your services just because they went out and did that of their own volition, there's still some responsibility in making sure that those reviews aren't exposing information about your potential client. So with things like Google My Business, you're not able to remove reviews, which is why we were talking about being very, very careful, not only to not ask for reviews, but not to deliberately encourage them, because there is some element of a client potentially putting too much information about themselves that could be harmful out in the world as well.
Yeah, that's a good point, Ani. So with a lot of our clients, we teach them about boundaries, and you know, they've been raised in environments where there weren't healthy boundaries, and we're teaching them about those. And many times they think they're helping us. You know, gosh, I've got this great therapist and he does such a great job. And, you know, sometimes their well-meaning behavior can move it the other way.
That makes sense. Are there any ways that, you know, other than just, you know, reaching out to colleagues or mutual reference, that you would suggest either, you know, for newer therapists or for folks who are just starting to dip their toe in the internet to try and get their practice out there, ways you would say it's a good idea to get reviews or to increase visibility for somebody's practice?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I hear from clients is, you know, they were referred to this person or they heard about him in this way. And some people are using little video clips like you're doing today. So just a little video introduction of, you know, hi, I'm Thom, and this is the kind of therapy that I do. And this is what I enjoy doing, and a little bit about myself. And, you know, I think that goes a long way when people choose us. And I think a professional picture, and I see so many of those online systems, and I'm like, that was not done by a professional. You need to spend $100 and get a professional picture up there so that people can look at you and say, yeah, that's somebody I would go to as a profession.
That's great, Thom. And just so everybody knows, at allcounselors.com, some of the things that Thom just mentioned are things that we would love to help you out with. So if you're trying to learn how to market your practice better, if you need some help taking a professional looking picture, or suggestions on how to do a short YouTube video that you can embed on your site that says, hi, this is who I am, and these are the people that I really like to help out, then you can reach out to us anytime. You can email me at ani@allcounselors.com, because we'd love to help you with that. Thom, I think that really covers, the couple of avenues available for reviews, because in mental health and really in any medical profession, it's a kind of a tricky thing. You have to be careful about the ethics of the situation, as well as protecting your client's privacy, and making sure that you can get out there. So it can be a little overwhelming, I think, for
I agree.
everyone to try and navigate that. But hopefully this has helped a bit. And again, just feel free to reach out if you've got any questions. Thom, anything else you'd like to part with?
No, just I hope people are being well and taking care of themselves and their relationships. And it's just been a joy to be with you today, Ani. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much.